by the Department of Health in Marion County and Ocala Fire Rescue.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to AM Ocala Live, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM. Broadcasting to you live from the Paddock Mall, streaming live, YouTube Live, WOCA, The Source Radio. As we're rolling through this good show for you here this Monday as we just touched base with Sheriff Billy Woods right here in the studio, talking to him a little bit, which was some good stuff. And up next, one right after the other, I got Lena Williams in the studio. Talk a little bit about community events. Well, there hasn't been much community events. However, there is some talk, and I heard the conversation about how this July and August, there's the talks that there could be some things eventually coming back. I know one of the things that we were looking forward to, that they were a proud sponsor here for a while, was the Clay for Kids event that was coming from the NFL Honors and alumni is that event, and I think they're actually talking about that maybe come to fruition some point here towards the end of the summer. So if anything, we can at least say that now that we're in the phase 2 full swing, is there's restaurants and bars that were opened up this weekend. As far as actually getting in there and spend some time socializing, decompressing, having a drink or two, that kind of thing.
It's exciting. I think that there's an appetite for it. You know, people are hungry for the opportunity to get out there and be able to see each other and have a good time and just, celebrate some of these things. A lot of milestones have slipped past people this time, I think.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And like I said, we were out and about a little bit this weekend, and we saw, it wasn't huge. I wasn't talking like it was a huge block party or anything like that, but there were quite a few people out, and I guess that was the difference. Is we're not used to that, and I think everybody was just kind of, I think there was a nice, common denominator throughout, just walking around a little bit and seeing everybody. It's like everybody was just happy to be out and about. It was like this relief of saying, oh, good, we can at least get back to doing something like this. Yeah. Which, for a lot of people, it was a thing where it's like you have so much going on, and it's like that's the one thing that you could say, hey, at the end of the week, we at least, meet some friends, have a conversation, and a couple of drinks. Well, that's off the table. Yeah. You got to do that at home, and that was fine. We adjusted, and then it's like, well, 2.5 months later, it's like, can't we just go out and do that?
I'll say, there's definitely, I've been honored to be a part of the Walk to End Alzheimer's here in Ocala. Mm-hmm. And, they're a nationwide organization, but we have really fabulous local presence. And there's a Walk to End Alzheimer's. Actually, they're starting one in the Villages for next year. And it's looking like that's going to go forward. It usually doesn't happen till end of August. But it is going to be really good. But one of the things they've been doing is they've been getting our volunteers together for a kind of Zoom happy hour kind of thing. And, it's not quite as good as if we were there in person, but it's been a really lovely way to be able to just kind of, get together and chit chat. And, our Kiwanis Club has been doing that. And so, in my job, I get to be a part of stuff like that. And it's been really fun because I haven't lost all human connection,
That's true. That's true.
Some people have, though, I feel like, just really not. If you're not a part of one of those organizations that's been driving and organizing that, it's really hard to put something like that together yourself.
Right. Yeah, that's
It's hard to have a schedule. So that's one of the things that I've been really, I feel blessed with, is that I've been able to be a part of those kinds of things. And, organizations that were always doing really great work are continuing to do really great work. We're really having, a great time.
Yeah, and that's good. And that's there we go. Those are the things to look forward to in the future, right? And everything else that we can say would get back us to more of that normalcy, or whatever have you. As we know that we've wanted to get into with having you on for the segment with you from Hires Backsleys to talk community events and everything else. And we've always done our best to kind of fill that time because they were all canceled.
Yeah.
And that's what I say. It's at least good in others' conversation that there's going to be things eventually coming back. And that's what'll be good, too, when we have you in here to actually talk about those events that come open. But, since we got you here, it's also interesting to just kind of discuss where things have kind of gone. We talked a lot about Marion County Public Schools and where things were at with that. And here we go. Now, it was as of last week was the last official day of schooling and everything else. Now they're getting into the set graduations and all that stuff. And it's interesting where we're going to be for the expectations of the 2021 school year. And I was gonna bring up something too. I had read last week, and I wanted to see your opinion on this. Is that they were actually looking at with the Marion County Public Schools, is that they have 4, right? It's 4 9 weeks. Yes. That each that are invested for their report card period, if you will. Mm-hmm. And I read somewhere that it said, basically in the third 9-week period, if you had a pretty good grade, but in lieu of the distance learning and everything that changed and everything that happened, if you actually got a lower grade within that fourth 9 weeks, they were actually going to give you credit for the third.
That was published in Ocala.com and on OcalaNews.com. So pretty credible sourcing, and it is an interesting initiative because one of the things that our public school has been really dedicated to is the idea that access issues should not be a definer of a child's GPA or something that could have a really lasting impact on them. And in some ways, that access issue, they did a really great job trying to circumvent that, providing laptops. They're still doing the parking lot Wi-Fi. My understanding is that's remaining available through the summer, so that's really fantastic. And that grade forgiveness, for lack of a better term, is a way of making sure that students who weren't able to access or there was a lot of displacement in our county, and that's one of the things. Some schools were hit harder than others, but students whose families lost their job due to COVID-19 or were unable to make their rent and had to move in with family in all other locations. These students were leaving the district. They were lacking access, and obviously were unable to re-enroll in a different location. And as a result of that, these students, they were looking at how can we preserve what they've earned. So if they were well performing in quarter 3, and then in quarter 4 they received an F, they're going to look at taking that quarter 3 grade and substituting it in for the quarter 4 grade, duplicating it as a means of kind of forgiving that quarter 4 issue based on the premise that it was probably in some way economically discriminatory, or they were in some way disadvantaged beyond circumstances beyond their control. A way of kind of coping for that. So if you made an A in quarter 3 and you made an F in quarter 4, they're going to look at that and say, most likely this is an A student. And that F is not indicative of their learning or of their capacity. And I think that's really good. Same logic that went into not going forward with testing for this year, state mandated testing, and those students are just going to get to move forward. And that's really been a blessing for those kids who, that kind of testing, these kinds of grades, your GPA, these things matter a lot to your future. And they want to make sure that no student's being left behind in that way. I think it's really interesting.
Does that bring a conversation of controversy? Are there some people that you would think that would say, hold on a minute, you're giving away grades here in a way. You're giving away gold stars. What's up with this?
I do think that there is some room for a conversation about the fairness of that. However, I would answer that as a teacher by saying this isn't giving anything away, because in quarter 3, what they earned is what they earned. So if they earned a D in quarter 3 but got an F in quarter 4, then they're not going to be given an A for quarter 4. If they earned an F in quarter 3 and earned an F in quarter 4, then they'll retain their F. I think that there is fairness in that, because I think that I think it's a far greater injustice for a student who deserved something to not receive it.
Sure.
than those couple of kids that may have kind of somewhat gotten away with it. I don't think there's that many children in that boat.
Right, because like at the same time you said maybe something was earned at some point, and that's how I felt about it. It was like, well, there was work that was done, and there was, because I would think, man, imagine if we were in that position. And I know you did very, very well in school, and I was kind of on the opposite spectrum of that. But let's say I actually did put the effort in to come away with that I got it to a C. In that math class, which, I remember when I was in high school, if I would have applied myself a little bit more, I could have got it better, but that C mattered. And then you're saying that it was so much more difficult, that, and in some regards to those that were maybe on that average, that this would be even more difficult to come back from.
The thing about this online
need
learning,
more.
and one of the things that it's hard to explain to the students is just how much a 0 hurts you.
Yeah.
Because, grade ranges are 10%, 90 to 100 is an A. And that kind of range is very narrow, but an F is a 0 to a 59. That is that's a big drag.
Yeah.
You put that 0 in, even with 100, you're at an F.
Yeah.
That's deeply unfair. If a student earned a 100% A in quarter 3 and then was unable to submit any work in quarter 4, it would have given them an F for the semester, meaning they would have had to repeat that the next year.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any world in which you could say that that's a fair way to approach it. If a student worked really hard in quarter 4 and got an A, they're going to get to keep their A. It's not like they're substituting everybody's grade for quarter 3. So I think it was a really smart way to, kind of pull the King Solomon trick and just say, we're going to see how fair we can make this for everybody without favoring anyone and without discriminating against anybody who was in a circumstance they couldn't control.
And here's an incredible piece of it, too, is as we continue to read, it was basically the idea that, like, well, hold on, for those who maybe even argue, well, what does that mean for teachers and their workload? They got to go back and do it. It was actually incredible that we read that there was a gentleman that they hired who created a tech program, believe it or not, that made it even easier, that if anything was actually installed with that third semester as having the higher grade, it would automatically change that for the fourth quarter grade, and it was automatic, so there was less work for the teachers that thought that they had to go back in and redo something or overall. So even right there is the initiative and the intuitiveness to figure out what was necessary to make it even easier for the teachers overall and still create some of the fairness for the students. So I think that's what's interesting to talk about it. I mean, that's pretty clever.
It's really smart. Those automated grade books are fantastic pieces of technology. I can't say enough about how grateful I am as someone who's terrible at math that I didn't have to go through figure and percentages all the time for my students with my calculator. It's saved them a lot of mistakes, I'm sure, on my part, and I'm sure there are a lot of teachers who feel the same way.
That's good. That's good. Now, we're going to take just a short little break here. When we come back, we'll be talking a little bit more with Lena. And stay tuned, because at the top of the 10 o'clock hours, you can stick with us, and we're going to do On This Day in History. You're listening to 96.3 FM, 1370 AM. Just a quick break, and we'll be back right after this. Keep the conversation rolling. WOCA Ocala.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
I'm Scotty, owner of 12 Rounds Boxing, with a personal invite for you to come check out my gym in Ocala, Florida, open 7 days a week from 10 a to 10 p. Come check us out.
If you've got just a minute, I'll tell you about the terrific sale on summer annuals at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens in Ocala. Now, this brand new selection includes coleus, periwinkle, celosia, zinnias, begonia, marigolds, impatiens, melonpodium, gomphrena, and that's just the beginning. Take your pick, mix and match for just $2.29 each, or get a huge flat 18 for $19.99. Hummingbird and butterfly plants. Big selection. Take your pick. Bob's got them $9.99 to $12.99. Bob still has BOGO on blueberries. And, of course, you gotta get crepe myrtles. More colors than you can count, starting at $24.99. Don't miss out. Best thing is to get there early. They open at 9, and they're open till 4:30 daily. Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens, Southeast 38th Street in Ocala, the same blooming place since 1952.
We are proud to announce the Conservative Watch Hour on WOCA 96.3 FM and 1370 AM every Friday at 11 a.m. Hosted by Annie Marie Delgado, President of Trump Team 2020 Florida, and her co-host Ann Vandersteel with SteelTruth.com. We are serving a higher level of excellence, and we are the only program of this type in this market. Don't miss your weekly dose of conservative talk radio. WOCA 11 a.m. Fridays, 96.3 and 1370 a.m.
WOCA.
Rather cloudy for today with a shower or thunderstorm around. High 88 to 90. For tonight, mostly cloudy and humid, low 72 to 74. Then a shower or thunderstorm around for Tuesday. High 89 to 93. Tuesday night turning out to be mostly cloudy and still humid with a low 72 to 74. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Kevin Snyder.
Help prevent the spread of germs. Wash your hands with soap and hot water for at least 20 seconds and always wash before you touch your face, eat, or drink. Use hand sanitizers. Limit sharing of eating utensils. Practice social distancing and avoid physical contact. Sneeze or cough into a tissue or the inside of your elbow. Avoid contact with ill individuals. An ounce of prevention is worth a ton of cure. Download the free booklet at Scientology.org/stay well.
Howdy, folks. RL here for Dairy Queen again to tell you about what's hot and what's not. Dairy Queen has some of the best char-grilled chicken breasts on earth, as well as their chicken breast salad. And the burgers are exceptional, cooked on a real grill for the best flavor and less fat. And for dessert, blizzards are unequaled. Personally, banana split is my all-time favorite. Dairy Queen Silver Springs, where we always treat you like kings and queens.
Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440. In addition to our pasture mowing and tractor services, including zero-turn mowers for your fence line finish, we also offer rototilling and fence row spraying. We are family-owned and operated, licensed and insured, and farm-ready. Powell Gene, Gene, @yahoo.com, 352-629-2440. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440. Gene is a proud United States veteran.
Hello, I'm Mark Sears with Regency Printing. With over 10 years in the printing business, I know you'll find Regency Printing the place for all your local printing needs. Plus, I have fax services, mailbox rentals, notary service, U.S. mail, pack and ship, all at one convenient location, 2375 Northeast 25th Avenue. Just look for the yellow signs. Regency Printing, 789-6683. That's 789-6683. Regency Printing.
Well, the new year is upon us, and that means getting to those forgotten projects that you promised you would. So whether you're tackling a small honey-do list or building the Taj Mahal, Sunbelt Rentals will help you get the job done right with the right tools. From carpet cleaners to excavators, Sunbelt Rentals has what you need. So what are you waiting for? Get it done. Rent it now from Sunbelt Rentals, located on Highway 27, just a half-mile east of I-75, or visit sunbeltrentals.com. Get it done. Rent it now. Sunbelt Rentals. Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
listening to AIM Ocala Live, WOCA, The Source. As we're back here now, 4 minutes before the top of the 10 o'clock hour, as I've got Lena Williams in the studio. We were talking and discussing a little bit. Remember, she's here for community events, which we really haven't had any community events. However, there's more talk that come this summer. We'll be getting back to that a little bit, as she works in lieu of Hires Baxley to bring us the information and actually sets up throughout the community events that would go on, as we're looking to see that come to maybe the fruition towards the end of the summer. But for right now, we were discussing a little bit, as we've done a lot when we had her in here, was about with Marion County Public Schools and some of the stuff going on, considering that she used to be a teacher. And one of the things we were discussing there was just the how do you say that? The forgiveness.
The grade
forgiveness.
It's
in a way.
grade substitution. It's an accommodation that we're making as a school system to make sure that those students who in quarter 4 were unable to perform. I mean, this is considered your insurance clause would call it an act of God, right? This is something that's outside of the control of these students, and they want to make sure that they're not being punished for a lack of access in their quarter 4 grade, and that's a really cool initiative. Really giving these students an opportunity to have a fresh start next year, and be held no harm.
One thing that I was really hoping to find it, but I didn't see anything more about it. I was trying real hard to find it. But last week, in the mention of stuff going on within the community, I think one of the things that was kind of brought back a little bit was, and I believe it started last Friday as well, was a little bit to do with more of the community art. Mm-hmm. I know that in lieu of the Riley Center, and which I know you're a huge fan of, and then I think the other one was, and I'm trying to figure out where it was. I'm trying to find it in lieu of Ocala Star Banner here, Ocala.com. It was, let me see here.
Well, the Riley Arts Center right now is, starting to reschedule some of those events that people missed out on. I know Gilbert Godfrey, there's now a new date set for that, coming back sometime in October. And the other thing that's coming up soon is there's going to be a concert at the Ocala Drive-In. So if you're interested in that, I think that's coming up in the next couple of weeks. So visit RileyArtsCenter.com and check out, or .org, I believe, and check out what they have going on. They have done a really great job rising to the occasion, being adaptable, and being able to give people a little something to enjoy, even from your own porch.
That's right. I know that even Appleton. Mm-hmm. Was talking about art being accessible from afar, as they were discussing a little bit with the Ocala Museum is reaching out electronically, and the novelty of the stay at home, even though it's lost its luster a little bit. They were talking about how in ways of conversation, walking, sleeping, eating, socializing, working, driving, and dreaming, no wonder we're anxious and stressed and responsible to observe social distancing with the new normal is awful. As they say, the idea here in Ocala, the Appleton Museum of Art brings a variety of art forms to the public, offering workshops and presentations, educational programs for all ages, and the benefit and beautiful venue for the special events is, unfortunately, though, with it has been shuttered, they say, since March 15th, as though they were running strong through producing plenty of online content, was the other thing, with where that could have been found at appletonmuseum.org as one of those other things, with the Riley Arts Center. I'm trying to think what the other one was. It was and basically they were starting this past weekend with a certain limited suggested hours for going in and seeing local art.
Love it.
Of the artists that were actually pretty much inspired by what was going on during the coronavirus pandemic, quarantine and lockdown stuff. And I was hoping I could find it, but it got convoluted in there overall. But nonetheless, just an opportunity for something to do within the community that gets you out there, and anything that has to do with
our local art scene has done a really amazing job. I know my cousin's a local artist. His name's Drake Arnold. He just painted a fantastic building scale mural downtown. It's a 3D work of art that you can use your phone to interact with. But he also was producing on his 3D printer N95 masks, hundreds a week, and donating them to our health I know that there's been some local photographers that were doing really great work with the protest stuff lately, with some images that were kind of going viral nationally. So we're so lucky to have an incredibly vibrant art scene. The Marion Cultural Alliance does a fantastic job supporting that. FAFO, Fine Arts for Ocala, does a really great job supporting that. We are very lucky in our downtown in particular, very rich artistic experience. It's really cool.
It's really good stuff. Now we're coming to the top of the 10 o'clock hour. Stay tuned. We got more coming back after this. WOCA Ocala.
No one helping people that have been lied to when they bought timeshare. If we take you as a client, we will cancel your timeshare or we'll give your money back. That's what makes us different.
Call Wesley Financial Group now for a free information kit. 800-660-1771. That's 800-660-1771. 800-660-1771.
This is Jan from Palm Garden. Now that our governor is slowly reopening our state, the number one question I get is, when can I visit my loved one at Palm Garden? The quick answer is that I don't know. I can tell you that we were the first to close and will likely be the last to reopen in order to protect our residents. Limiting visitors, screening, and masks will also be likely. Until we are able to see you again, we are Palm Garden.
On June 10th at 10:35 a.m., Adam's guests will be from Ruby Slipper LLC to talk about their car seat cover, a specially designed heavy-duty double-layered seat cover with a unique sliding action that allows passengers to swivel into their car. Created by Catherine Miles, the Ruby Slipper car seat cover can help with mobility for anyone who has such difficulty. Again, that's 10:35, June 10th. It's news you can use from Catherine Miles and your friends here at WOCA The Source.
Pals Ocala Auto Repair fixes all makes and models. Pals makes sure that your vehicle's engine, mechanical, and electrical components are healthy at all times. Pals team would much rather see you drive to their shop for a full checkup than be towed in for a complex repair. Give Pals a call today to schedule your next service appointment. 352-414-2984. What? A nationwide warranty, 36 months or 36,000 miles, whichever comes first? Pals looks forward to servicing you and servicing your vehicle. 352-414-2984.
Hi, this is Brittany from Mike Scott Plumbing. I wanted to take a moment to let you know that during these tough times, Mike Scott Plumbing is still here, ready to help you in every way we can. We know life doesn't just stop, and when it breaks, we know your plumbing doesn't just magically start working again. Mike Scott Plumbing is taking every precaution to ensure your safety by following and exceeding all the guidelines set forth by the CDC for COVID-19, as well as local districts. As an essential business, we are operating at full capacity to ensure we get your problem solved day, night, or weekends. We're all in this together. We hope you are all staying safe during these trying times. And remember, if water runs through it, we do it. 866-314-4443. Call day or night. That number again is 866-314-4443. Mike Scott Plumbing.
Looking for fun and educational online activities for children? Then check out Teaching Tuesdays, the Appleton Museum of Art's free weekly art project video series. These educational videos feature art projects that can easily be done from home with basic art supplies and materials. A new video is posted each week at 10 a.m. on the Appleton's Facebook page, website, and YouTube channel. For more information, visit appletonmuseum.org.
Are you a medical provider that doesn't like to settle for the same boring scrubs? Scrub Paradise in Ocala has a wide selection of top brand scrubs with embroidery available and the newest medical shoes and accessories. Every medical provider should look as great as the care they provide. Scrub Paradise is just off Easy Street next to Shoe Carnival in Ocala. Stop by today or give them a call at 352-873-4368. That's 352-873-4368.
The Centers is here for you. For mental health crisis, call our mobile response team at 352-402-2890.
Prescription opioids can be addictive and dangerous.
My son was 20 years old when he was prescribed opioid. It took him 5 days to get addicted. I'm not supposed to be the one to go get his suit and tie and pick which sneakers. and I'm going to bury him. My son overdosed at the age of 22 years old.
Prescription opioids. It only takes a little to lose a lot. Visit cdc.gov/RX awareness.
Brought to you by the Department of Health in Marion County and Ocala Fire Rescue.
I'm Scotty, owner of 12 Rounds Boxing, with a personal invite for you to come check out my gym in Ocala, Florida, open 7 days a week from 10 a to 10 p. Come check us out.
If you've got just a minute, I'll tell you about the terrific sale on summer annuals at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens in Ocala. Now, this brand new selection includes coleus, periwinkle, celosia, zinnias, begonia, marigolds, impatiens, melanpodium, gomphrena, and that's just the beginning. Take your pick, mix and match for just $2.29 each, or get a huge flat 18 for $19.99. Hummingbird and butterfly plants. Big selection. Take your pick. Bob's got them $9.99 to $12.99. Bob still has BOGO on blueberries. And, of course, you gotta get crepe myrtles. More colors than you can count, starting at $24.99. Don't miss out. Best thing is to get there early. They open at 9, and they're open until 4:30 daily. Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens, Southeast 38th Street in Ocala, the same blooming place since 1952.
We are proud to announce the Conservative Watch Hour on WOCA 96.3 FM and 1370 AM every Friday at 11 a.m. Hosted by Annie Marie Delgado, president of Trump Team 2020 Florida, and her co-host Ann Vandersteel with SteelTruth.com. We are serving a higher level of excellence, and we are the only program of this type in this market. Don't miss your weekly dose of conservative talk radio. WOCA 11 a.m. Fridays, 96.3 and 1370 a.m.
WOCA.
Rather cloudy for today with a shower or thunderstorm around. High 88 to 90. For tonight, mostly cloudy and humid, low 72 to 74. Then a shower or thunderstorm around for Tuesday. High 89 to 93. Tuesday night turning out to be mostly cloudy and still humid with a low 72 to 74. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Kevin Snyder.
Help prevent the spread of germs. Wash your hands with soap and hot water for at least 20 seconds and always wash before you touch your face, eat, or drink. Use hand sanitizers. Limit sharing of eating utensils. Practice social distancing and avoid physical contact. Sneeze or cough into a tissue or the inside of your elbow. Avoid contact with ill individuals. An ounce of prevention is worth a ton of cure. Download the free booklet at Scientology.org/stay well.
Howdy, folks. RL here for Dairy Queen again to tell you about what's hot and what's not. Dairy Queen has some of the best char-grilled chicken breasts on earth, as well as their chicken breast salad. And the burgers are exceptional, cooked on a real grill for the best flavor and less fat. And for dessert, blizzards are unequaled. Personally, banana split is my all-time favorite. Dairy Queen Silver Springs, where we always treat you like kings and queens.
Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440. In addition to our pasture mowing and tractor services, including zero-turn mowers for your fence line finish, we also offer rototilling and fence row spraying. We are family-owned and operated, licensed and insured, and farm-ready. Powell Gene, Gene, at yahoo.com, 352-629-2440. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440. Gene is a proud United States veteran.
Hello, I'm Mark Sears with Regency Printing. With over 10 years in the printing business, I know you'll find Regency Printing the place for all your local printing needs. Plus, I have fax services, mailbox rentals, notary service, U.S. mail, pack and ship, all at one convenient location, 2375 Northeast 25th Avenue. Just look for the yellow signs. Regency Printing, 789-6683. That's 789-6683. Regency Printing.
Well, the new year is upon us, and that means getting to those forgotten projects that you promised you would. So whether you're tackling a small honeydew list or building the Taj Mahal, Sunbelt Rentals will help you get the job done right with the right tools. From carpet cleaners to excavators, Sunbelt Rentals has what you need. So what are you waiting for? Get it done. Rent it now from Sunbelt Rentals, located on Highway 27, just a half mile east of I-75, or visit sunbeltrentals.com. Get it done. Rent it now. Sunbelt Rentals. Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Listening to AIM Ocala Live, WOCA, The Source. We're back, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM. As we're back, we still have Lena Williams in the studio. Talk a little bit more here as we were just wrapping up there before the 10 o'clock hour, a little bit about the conversation of some of the stuff within the schools. And one of the things we mentioned is last week was the official last day of school, and then now we're getting into graduation season.
Getting into graduation,
it's a little late,
into
but
summer.
Yeah.
So sports and stuff are going to be able to resume.
Yeah.
This summer, there's going to be some regulations about that, so you can check that out on the Marion County Schools website. There's also going to be summer enrichment being offered online this year for students, elementary students. The theme is Adventure Awaits, and so you can go and check out online adventures every week, June 15th running through July 9th. You're going to be exploring things like outer space, oceans, lots of storytelling, ways to experience the great outdoors, and those activities are for K through 5 students. So if you have a young student, young grandchild, you want to find some way to enrich, make sure that learning continues over the summer. It's been real interruption to that learning process. We want to make sure they're staying engaged with the school mentality. So that's the way to do it. There's also short-length snippet stories on the district's Twitter account, and they're just kind of talking about what the schools have done to stay in the loop, and that's been really cool. The other thing is, obviously graduations. So graduations are coming up starting June 12th, running through June the 22nd. So they are going to be taking place at the football stadiums, and they're starting at 9 a.m. There's no graduation practice. There's going to be social distancing enforced at these. There'll be no physical contact. Every senior's getting 2 admission tickets for guests.
That's right.
So very limited guests, but I think they are going to live stream these.
Yep.
So if you want to participate virtually in supporting your senior, it's a great idea. June the 12th, graduation is going to be MTI at Booster Stadium. On June the 15th, Vanguard, also at Booster Stadium. June 16th will be Forest High School at Mike Kelly Stadium. They're on their campus. June 17th will be Lake Ware High School graduation. They're at Lake Ware High School's football stadium. June 18th will be North Marion at the Stan Toole Memorial Stadium. June the 19th will be Westport at the Ken Vianello Stadium. June the 20th will be Bellevue at Brent Hall Field. And June the 22nd will be Dunellen at Richard Kennedy Stadium. So those are our graduations coming up, and come out and support and celebrate our seniors. Let them know how proud we are that they didn't let this slow them down. They made it through.
That's right.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
The other big initiative that Marion County Public Schools is rolling out is there's going to be a summer feeding program. So you can check out Marion County Public Schools or marionschools.net. And find out a little bit more about that. The Grab and Go meal service has handed out so many meals. There's such a great need. And one of the great community partners for that has been Interfaith.
Yeah.
Interfaith Emergency Services does a fantastic job supporting the public schools. They fill a lot of gaps during the summer. They're continuing to do that. And they're actually moving ahead with one of their keynote fundraisers. It's going to be this Saturday, is their high tea. It's a very formal event, and from 10 to 4, The tea is invitation only, starts at 2:30, going to be observing those social distancing guidelines. But if you want to go by and check out the tables, bid on a centerpiece, make a donation, they'll be available for viewing between 10 and 2 p.m. on Saturday the 13th. So think about that if you're looking for a way to support, one of those community organizations that really plugs in and meets a lot of needs for a lot of people. They do incredible work there.
When you mentioned the interfaith, and one of the other big things that they do with mentioning here at the Source, as we bring you Thursdays with the Veterans News, the Vets Helping Vets they do a lot with too, as it's mentioned on with Hank and Gary when we have them on with Veterans News, and what they do to provide those meals, the pantry that we talk about for the food pantry for veterans and all that stuff. So that's a lot of good stuff there.
We are so lucky to live in a community with incredible citizens who go out of their way to form bonds, form connections, and just lift each other up. It's really cool.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take just another short little break, and when we come back, we're going to be doing On This Day in History. We're going to touch base on some events that took place on this day in history as we carry on here through this Monday, as it's starting to cloud up a little bit more there now, as we know the expectation of 50 to 60% chance of afternoon thunderstorms, but nonetheless, the big thing is the heat index. It's going to get hot out there. Stay hydrated. Good morning, everybody. You're listening to AM Ocala Live. We'll be back right after this.
WOCA.
This is Jan from Palm Garden. Now that our governor is slowly reopening our state, the number one question I get is, when can I visit my loved one at Palm Garden? The quick answer is that I don't know. I can tell you that we were the first to close and will likely be the last to reopen in order to protect our residents. Limiting visitors, screening, and masks will also be likely. Until we are able to see you again, we are Palm Garden.
On June 10th at 10:35 a.m., Adam's guests will be from Ruby Slipper LLC to talk about their car seat cover, a specially designed heavy-duty double-layered seat cover with a unique sliding action that allows passengers to swivel into their car. Created by Catherine Miles, the Ruby Slipper car seat cover can help with mobility for anyone who has such difficulty. Again, that's 10:35, June 10th. It's news you can use from Catherine Miles and your friends here at WOCA The Source.
Pals Ocala Auto Repair fixes all makes and models. Pals makes sure that your vehicle's engine, mechanical, and electrical components are healthy at all times. Pals team would much rather see you drive to their shop for a full checkup than be towed in for a complex repair. Give Pals a call today to schedule your next service appointment. 352-414-2984. What? A nationwide warranty, 36 months or 36,000 miles, whichever comes first? Pals looks forward to servicing you and servicing your vehicle. 352-414-2984.
Hi, this is Brittany from Mike Scott Plumbing. I wanted to take a moment to let you know that during these tough times, Mike Scott Plumbing is still here, ready to help you in every way we can. We know life doesn't just stop. And when it breaks, we know your plumbing doesn't just magically start working again. Mike Scott Plumbing is taking every precaution to ensure your safety by following and exceeding all the guidelines set forth by the CDC for COVID-19, as well as local districts. As an essential business, we are operating at full capacity to ensure we get your problem solved day, night, or weekends. We're all in this together. We hope you are all staying safe during these trying times. And remember, if water runs through it, we do it. 866-314-4443. Call day or night. That number again is 866-314-4443. Mike Scott Plumbing.
Looking for fun and educational online activities for children? Then check out Teaching Tuesdays, the Appleton Museum of Art's free weekly art project video series. These educational videos feature art projects that can easily be done from home with basic art supplies and materials. A new video is posted each week at 10 a.m. on the Appleton's Facebook page, website, and YouTube channel. For more information, visit appletonmuseum.org.
Are you a medical provider that doesn't like to settle for the same boring scrubs? Scrub Paradise in Ocala has a wide selection of top brand scrubs with embroidery available and the newest medical shoes and accessories. Every medical provider should look as great as the care they provide. Scrub Paradise is just off Easy Street next to Shoe Carnival in Ocala. Stop by today or give them a call at 352-873-4368. That's 352-873-4368.
The Centers is here for you. For mental health crisis, call our mobile response team at 352-402-2890.
Prescription opioids can be addictive and dangerous.
My son was 20 years old when he was prescribed opioid. It took him 5 days to get addicted. I'm not supposed to be the one to go get his suit and tie and pick which sneakers that I'm going to bury him in. My son overdosed at the age of 22 years old.
Prescription opioids. It only takes a little to lose a lot. Visit cdc.gov/RX awareness.
Brought to you by the Department of Health in Marion County and Ocala Fire Rescue.
Welcome back. You're listening to AM Ocala Live, WOCA, The Source, 8 minutes before the bottom of the 10 o'clock hour, as we still have Lena Williams here in the studio with us. Good morning, Lena. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
We got our good segment here coming up next. We've got, here, I even got a little, let me find it real quick. As, oh, there it is.
Now, this day in history.
We got a little intro to giving our segment the time of day here with On This Day in History. As I got to be honest with you here, as I'm running into now, we're almost halfway through the last hour of our show, and because it's Monday, I'm kind of running out of words.
I hear you.
When I come back from the break and then staying sharp for all my segues and stuff. It's sometimes hard to talk as much as I do. And sometimes it's tough.
I don't know how you do it. I stress coming here I get up early in the morning and I start doing some research. I'm like, ugh, what on earth am I going to talk about?
And then it's fine when you have content, of course, but when you're trying to fill in some of that blank time to segue and transition, that's where the masterpieces come in. That's why I know with some of our syndication, like a lot of those guys pause. Mm-hmm. Like Beck is a big one where he'll talk, and then he'll come back in with something to follow up with. And what I realize is he's just pausing to try to figure out what he wants to say. That's exactly right. Anyway, on this day in history, as we take a look here, and we'll continue this here once we take our break at the bottom of the hour, as we're going to go back to, on this day, June 8th, all the way back to 1932, as U.S. tax reforms. It was some of the widest range of tax reforms and increases to start over the next 4 months, which they say should bring in over $1 billion to the U.S. Treasury each year to help the balance of the budget after major spending on welfare programs for those unemployed due to, the Great Depression. Among the large number of new taxes are new electricity tax and special excise taxes on soap, automobile tires, chewing gum, new admissions tax and movie theaters, sports venues, gift tax, and higher personal taxes from next March. So is this where it began? Is this where it began to have everything kind of that direction to be, all the way down to everything being taxed?
It begins really as a debate at the foundation of our country, this idea that as George Washington's presidency is going on, in the cabinet you have Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson on opposing sides of this issue.
Yeah.
Can the federal government tax? Are we going to have a uniform currency that crosses all state lines?
Right.
or can only the states tax and they can have their own currency? And Alexander Hamilton, wins this fight. He says, we are going to have a Federal Reserve. We are going to have a mint. We are going to set up the power for the federal government to tax so that we can remain a unified nation. Mm-hmm. And this was a debated concept. And
because everything we know of it, and this is where I'm sure you get this a lot, where it's everybody goes back to when anybody mentions, what is it, the two most expected things in life, death and taxes. But they always go back to, this nation, this country is founded on, taxation without representation. So
but
at the end of it, that's right.
Well, we found in the Great Depression, all of these people are out of business, and we're in a similar economic. Well, we're not in a Great Depression, but anytime you face an economic downturn, you come to find who is there to turn to except the government, and so the federal government has to be able to provide that support. We've had these stimulus packages coming down in response to COVID-19, and where does that money come from? It comes from your tax dollars. It's a way of us providing insurance policy for ourselves into the future. And that's kind of how they were making use of it there in the Great Depression, trying to pioneer the idea of what do we do when we have a crisis of unemployment in this country? We had never faced that before. And they were trying to find ways not just to support them, but also to get people back to work. They started doing all these kind of federally funded projects that were able to employ people.
Yeah.
So it was a really interesting time. They were pioneering it.
Yeah, and it's fascinating because we look at the large number of new taxes that come from electricity, excise taxes on soap, tires, chewing gum. Basically, they took a lot of the most popular things and said, let's make that the avenue, because there's really be no we'll stop doing that because we don't want to pay the tax.
Yeah.
They kind of put some thought into that and put it to where actually things would be spent on.
Yeah, well, these essential things that you kind of can't have without everybody having them. You think about electricity, you think about people who live somewhere where they wouldn't otherwise have access. They need to be able to have that access, and how do you fund that?
Right.
You have to fund it because, nobody wanted to go back to candlelight at that time, And
right.
So you find something that people think is invaluable.
Especially if you had electricity. Think about the times, because it wasn't that long ago that they didn't, and now that they do, it's like, it's hard to go back to and not. As we move on to 1942, so 10 years later, as we just got a few minutes here before the bottom here, we talked about Mr. Bing Crosby last week as the mention in 1942 recording, which was one of the most top charting songs ever in history, was White Christmas.
Yeah.
And it was on this day in history that Bing Crosby recorded, I can't pronounce the other one, but Silent Night. And what's the other one?
Adesta Fidele?
Yeah, that's.
I don't know.
I wanted you to give a shot at you.
I've never heard of that one. It must not have been too high on the charts.
But Silent Night, we know that was a big popular one. As that come off later in the idea of the Christmas album. So it's fascinating too when you look at when certain Christmas songs became as popular as we hear them through every year and stuff like that. This was Silent Night and White Christmas all the way back to 19.
Do you like Christmas music, or are you one of those people who can't stand it when it starts coming on?
No. I love it, but I have a rule. It cannot start until it's actually in the month of December.
No! I would put up my Christmas tree tomorrow if I could. I love Christmas.
No.
I'm ready for it right
now.
Bring it on, baby. Right after Halloween, it's Christmas.
That's the Disney Nightmare Before Christmas in your head there, because that covers both. That covers both
perfect.
holidays.
It's
it is
bridging my gap. That's what I need.
And we're going to take our break as we're coming to the bottom of the hour. We've got more on this day in history to continue on to round out our show. Stay tuned. WOCA Ocala back after this.
News, I'm Karen McHugh. The Minneapolis City Council says they'll vote to dismantle their police department. This in the aftermath of the in-custody death of George Floyd. House Democrats will follow suit today by proposing a major police reform bill. This House Republican weighs in.
We've seen some police departments that have had serious problems, and some have entered into consent decrees with the Justice Department. I would imagine when you look into Minneapolis, it seems like they've had some problems that didn't go addressed. And where these departments have had problems, we need to look at what they're doing there.
Louisiana Steve Scalise on Fox and Friends. New York City says they'll be defunding the NYPD in response. Floyd's body, meanwhile, has arrived in his hometown of Houston, Texas. A viewing will be held today, his funeral and burial to follow tomorrow. America is listening to Fox News.
The following is a true story.
I had a lady that was in her mid-70s, and I'd sold her timeshare, and that was the lowest I'd ever felt in my life. I knew then that I had to do something to simply not to go to hell for selling timeshare.
Chuck McDowell founded Wesley Financial Group to help folks cancel their timeshares permanently.
Called her and everybody that I'd sold timeshare to, and I said, this is what I said to you that was a lie, and this is what you need to do to cancel your timeshare. From that point, people started referring friends to me to help them cancel their timeshare. And that's how it all started. I fought the world's largest timeshare company in federal court. If I had lost that lawsuit, there would be no one helping people that have been lied to when they bought timeshare. If we take you as a client, we will cancel your timeshare or we'll give your money back. That's what makes us different.
Call Wesley Financial Group now for a free information kit. 800-660-1771. That's 800-660-1771. 800-660-1771.
Leaders Incorporated is a group of independent local firms providing a wide range of quality goods and services. Each firm strives to maintain the highest level of professional integrity and 100% customer satisfaction. When you're looking for goods and services, call a member of the Ocala Business Leaders, and we are confident you will be pleased with the results. If you are interested in becoming a member of the Ocala Business Leaders, join us at the Ocala Elks Lodge, 25th Avenue in Ocala, any Wednesday at 7 a.m. and enjoy a breakfast on us.
For more information, check OcalaBusinessLeaders.com.
If you've got just a minute, I'll tell you about the terrific sale on summer annuals at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens in Ocala. Now, this brand new selection includes coleus, periwinkle, celosia, zinnias, begonia, marigolds, impatiens, melanpodium, gomphrena, and that's just the beginning. Take your pick, mix and match for just $2.29 each, or get a huge flat 18 for $19.99. Hummingbird and butterfly plants. Big selection. Take your pick. Bob's got them $9.99 to $12.99. Bob still has BOGO on blueberries. And, of course, you gotta get crepe myrtles. More colors than you can count, starting at $24.99. Don't miss out. Best thing is to get there early. They open at 9, and they're open till 4:30 daily. Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens, Southeast 38th Street in Ocala, the same blooming place since 1952.
In today's Ag News by Southeast AgNet, USDA issued out its first coronavirus food assistance program payments. More after this.
Maintaining your crops is as important now as it's ever been. Howler, a revolutionary fungicide from AgBiome, can help. It provides long-lasting protection from a broad spectrum of foliar and soil diseases that affect fruits, vegetables, and other specialty crops. Howler is OMRI listed, has multiple modes of action, and has minimal pre-harvest and re-entry intervals. It's flexible, easy to use, and is available right now. Call 855-946-9537 or visit agbiome.com/howler to learn more.
Step right up and gaze upon this miraculous substance I hold in the palm of my hands. This little miracle can feed us, clothe us, give us clean, fresh water, and provide wildlife habitat for nature's critters. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the greatest soil on earth.
Learn more about soil health principles that can turn your soil into a star performer. Contact your local USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service office today to find out how. This message brought to you by USDA and this radio station.
Back on May 26th, USDA Farm Service Agent
WOCA.
This is Jan from Palm Garden. Now that our governor is slowly reopening our state, The number one question I get is, when can I visit my loved one at Palm Garden? The quick answer is that I don't know. I can tell you that we were the first to close and will likely be the last to reopen in order to protect our residents. Limiting visitors, screening, and masks will also be likely. Until we are able to see you again, we are Palm Garden.
On June 10th at 10:35 a.m., Adam's guests will be from Ruby Slipper LLC to talk about their car seat cover, a specially designed heavy-duty double-layered seat cover with a unique sliding action that allows passengers to swivel into their car. Created by Catherine Miles, the Ruby Slipper car seat cover can help with mobility for anyone who has such difficulty. Again, that's 10:35, June 10th. It's news you can use from Catherine Miles and your friends here at WOCA The Source.
Pals Ocala Auto Repair fixes all makes and models. Pals makes sure that your vehicle's engine, mechanical, and electrical components are healthy at all times. Pals team would much rather see you drive to their shop for a full checkup than be towed in for a complex repair. Give Pals a call today to schedule your next service appointment. 352-414-2984. What? A nationwide warranty, 36 months or 36,000 miles, whichever comes first? Pals looks forward to servicing you and servicing your vehicle. 352-414-2984.
Hi, this is Brittany from Mike Scott Plumbing. I wanted to take a moment to let you know that during these tough times, Mike Scott Plumbing is still here, ready to help you in every way we can. We know life doesn't just stop. And when it breaks, we know your plumbing doesn't just magically start working again. Mike Scott Plumbing is taking every precaution to ensure your safety by following and exceeding all the guidelines set forth by the CDC for COVID-19, as well as local districts. As an essential business, we are operating at full capacity to ensure we get your problem solved day, night, or weekends. We're all in this together. We hope you are all staying safe during these trying times. And remember, if water runs through it, we do it. 866-314-4443. Call day or night. That number again is 866-314-4443. Mike Scott Plumbing.
Looking for fun and educational online activities for children? Then check out Teaching Tuesdays, the Appleton Museum of Art's free weekly art project video series. These educational videos feature art projects that can easily be done from home with basic art supplies and materials. A new video is posted each week at 10 a.m. on the Appleton's Facebook page, website, and YouTube channel. For more information, visit appletonmuseum.org.
Are you a medical provider that doesn't like to settle for the same boring scrubs? Scrub Paradise in Ocala has a wide selection of top brand scrubs with embroidery available and the newest medical shoes and accessories. Every medical provider should look as great as the care they provide. Scrub Paradise is just off Easy Street next to Shoe Carnival in Ocala. Stop by today or give them a call at 352-873-4368. That's 352-873-4368.
The Centers is here for you. For mental health crisis, call our mobile response team at 352-402-2890.
Prescription opioids can be addictive and dangerous.
My son was 20 years old when he was prescribed opioid. It took him 5 days to get addicted. I'm not supposed to be the one to go get his suit and tie and pick which sneakers that I'm going to bury him in. My son overdosed at the age of 22 years old.
Prescription opioids. It only takes a little to lose a lot. Visit cdc.gov/RX awareness.
Brought to you by the Department of Health in Marion County and Ocala Fire Rescue.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
And you're listening to AM Ocala Live, 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, broadcasting to you live from the Paddock Mall, streaming live, YouTube Live, WOCA, The Source Radio, as we're coming up on 20 minutes before the top of the 11 o'clock hour, as we are rolling through on this day in history, and just off air, we were discussing quite a bit, as the last thing we mentioned was just a little bit of World War II and stuff, and how it was last week that we mentioned that was the final day of the miracle at Dunkirk, as it took place, that was June 5th. and or is it June 4th? One of those 2 days, I can't remember, but just incredible nonetheless.
So cool.
As we're moving through here, 1949, we left off on 1942 as Bing Crosby recorded "Silent Night" on this day in history. As we look at 1949, an FBI report names a number of Hollywood stars, including Edward G. Robinson, members of the Communist Party. As
Red Scare, man.
That's incredible.
Had a long tradition. What's incredible about it is to hear that, in 49 they're doing that, and it runs to the 70s.
Yeah.
That they're doing this. J. Edgar Hoover's FBI, famous for the Red Scare kind of blacklisting, blackballing, and using as a means of repressing voices that they thought were dangerous to the government, but turns out they weren't, Right. It was really just someone who didn't agree with them. It was kind of a false equivalency, this idea that they were a communist. It wasn't true at all.
Which is just, it's incredible, right? To think, as we, although we know that some people would share that opinion nowadays in the idea of how Hollywood sets itself.
There's a long-standing tradition.
That's the idea of moving on to 1953. This is incredible because if you really dig deep, this isn't really that long ago. On this day in history, 1953, as the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that restaurants and bars in Washington, D.C. are required to now serve African-American customers.
Man, it is incredible that it's incredible how long the civil rights movement went on after the Civil War.
Yeah.
Right? This idea that we made a decision as a nation and fought a war over, this decision about equity of rights for people, and then it takes, more than 100 years after to have not just the courts uphold, but then the length of time it took for implementation of these rulings to happen, and for everywhere to lean in and embrace equality in those ways.
Yeah, it's and I think that's what's fascinating is just how it's really not that long ago.
My grandparents were adults.
Yeah. Our age,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on to 1972. It was on this day in history, 1972, that the Pentagon had announced plans to develop a completely new type of nuclear missile that could be launched from a submarine and flown like an aircraft, flying below 500 feet to avoid radar detection to reach its target. This is part of the ongoing cruise missile development. Interesting. So that's 1972. As we know, it's always been kind of shined more of the 80s as the bigger pinnacle of the Cold War expectations and era. But here you go. Here's pretty much something that's part
60s
of the
and 70s. It was all in development in
arms
that time
race
too.
and all that. And here we go. Something even more.
Aside from the cause might not be something that we all support, but the technology is just so amazing and fascinating and cool, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We do got a caller. Good morning. You're on the air, WOCA. Thanks for holding.
Yeah. Good morning. Obviously, no Catholics behind the mic. Adeste Fidelis is the Latin word for "O come all ye faithful."
That's right. That's right.
He and Bing Crosby and Perry Como both reported that. I'm partial to the Perry Como recording, but a great seasonal favorite.
That's right. And one more time on that pronunciation.
Adeste Fidelis.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
Come all ye faithful. See, we had the translator version when I was in Catholic grade school.
I have heard the song.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, partner. Appreciate it.
You have a good day.
You too. He's an avid listener. I love that. Yeah, you chime in on that.
I didn't know. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what you don't know sometimes.
That's right. That's right. As we move on here a little bit, 2002 on this date in history, 2002, it was the meeting in Camp David between Egypt's President Hosni Mubarak and President Bush, as they does not reach an agreement with Mr. Mubarak, is pressing for a timetable for the creation of a Palestinian state. And Mr. Bush has said that Yasser Arafat must do more to prevent attacks on Israel's by Palestinian militants before a timetable can be put into place. And they say, meanwhile, 3 Israelis were killed and 4 others injured in 2 separate attacks by Palestinian militants on Jewish settlements. And Israeli continues its, quote, siege on Palestine, including carrying out of the house-to-house searches. That was in 2000 on this date that they had the meeting to discuss an agreement to that. What's fascinating about this just a little bit is when you go back in time in history, we were just talking last week about the what was it, the 6-Day Wars, as that pretty much was like this beginning of it's incredible how this stuff just comes around and around and around, so to speak.
Yeah, it certainly is. People often wonder, why Egypt? Why are they so involved in all of this? And obviously, border states are very important, Egypt and Jordan. And when we're talking about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, you have Winston Churchill leading the charge to establish a Zionist state of Israel there in the Middle East post-World War II. And this was obviously not an uncontentious decision.
Right.
This was habited land and holy land to a lot of different groups. And you have President Jimmy Carter pioneering the treaty with Egypt that allowed Israel and Palestine to have a border and to, kind of brokered that peace agreement. And then George Bush is there following up with them. That peace agreement, contentious. Under the Obama presidency, we see a resurgence of Egypt having revolutionary sentiment.
That was 2011, was it? Or 2010?
Yeah.
2010.
So they
Egypt.
had a revolution there. And so, all of these nation states have a vested interest with their own perspective on how these things ought to play out. So it's very complicated to be the president, right? Like, what a difficult thing to manage, this kind of unsolvable problem that people have been, cracking away at since inception.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Incredible. We do have a caller. Good morning, WOCA. You're on the air.
Thanks, and I'd like to thank you for taking the call. I just Americans are infatuated with their war history and World War II, but if Americans are honest about World War II, the first place we faced the Germans was in Africa. And why were the Germans in Africa? They weren't there for anything other than their oil for their war machine. And that's where General Patton tackles the German Panzer divisions and loses in the beginning and then learns how to win. So throwing Churchill into the mix, he is given the task, and so were the Americans ultimately, of dividing up the Middle East, irrespective of a religious perspective, on the behalf of British Petroleum. So, a lot of things go back to resources, and we can always throw in a religious take on things, but I always like to keep an eye. It's just like the protesters and the current president's threat of using armed forces on Americans. What concerned me from a military tactical standpoint is if we were to commit active duty soldiers to the streets of America, would that not leave you vulnerable in another part of the world? And of course the answer would be yes. So everything has kind of a task and consequence. And so I ask Americans to be a little more deliberate and a little more cautious and a little less Rambo-esque as an old soldier, even though I was a Marine. But y'all have a great day, and Thank you very much.
Thank you, partner. Thanks for the call, and thank you for your service, too. That's a good point.
Interesting that he brings that up, too,
That's a great
because
point.
obviously Churchill gets his initiation into military in the Boer Wars, engaged in South Africa fighting the Dutch over what was essentially resource control.
Right.
So, it's true to be cognizant of that history and to understand, what people's experiences lead to, not prejudice type of bias, but just a bias of perspective.
Right.
The idea that your experiences are going to color and shape the way you would perceive something and the way you would perceive what isn't just, and that other people have other experiences that are leading them to a separate conclusion. Being able to understand and empathize with those differences is really important.
One of the best quotes from a James Bond movie: "One man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist."
Yep.
It's incredible. But thanks for the call, partner. That was some good insight there. That was awesome. As we move here, just 2008 on this day in history, as it was, let's see here. It was in 2008, June 8th, that it says here, Hillary Clinton decided to bow out of the Democratic presidential nomination race and endorse Barack Obama for candidacy. Clinton asked her supporters to put their full support behind Barack Obama as the Democratic nominee. That was back in 2008, and that was back when it was like the idea of like, oh, is that what's going to happen? Is a female president going to be more to an idea fruition, and then it got to June, and then it changed directions.
That really is one of the beauties of our system of governance, though, is that people who were in opposition are able to endorse and support one another and move forward. And that's really, the beauty, not just of our single parties being able to do that, but also of our multi-party system being able to do that, being able to come together and say, I lost this one and I still support.
Yeah. As we take a look here, one of the things I'm wondering how I want to pepper these in, but as much as we've done a lot of this news of history on this day in history kind of thing, there's a lot of them that are not really. What am I trying to say here? Is basically that they're a little bit more harsh in reality than just like a lighter note. But with that, it kind of gave us an idea here, and this is a shout out to Tish for not only getting the regular on this day in history, but just bringing up some good news in history as we go back a little bit to kind of bring some of the lighter side to it. Although some are still heavy, but they are the light at the end of the tunnel for certain instances. But one of the cool things was, as it was back in, apparently recorded in history on this day, June 8th, in 1789, as much as we're talking about the United States and everything, a proposed, get this, Bill of Rights was introduced in the House of Representatives by James Madison, who is hailed, quote, the father of our Constitution. The 1789 our Bill of Rights was introduced to the House of Representatives by James Madison on this day in history. That's kind of cool. And heavy nonetheless, because it all impacts us to this day. That's the beauty of it. As we move on here to get this, in 1824, on this day, June 8th, the washing machine was patented by Noah Cushing of Quebec in 1824. The washing machine, which changed a lot of things there overall. And then along the side of patents, it was Ives McGaffey of Chicago that patents the first vacuum cleaner on this day in 1869, calling it not a vacuum cleaner, but a sweeping machine, as in 1869. I'm sure back then they're like, what are we going to use this for?
Yeah.
We'll just sweep. But kind of interesting nonetheless. And then the on the side note here of some baseball, it was on this day that the Milwaukee Braves, back in 1961, set a Major League Baseball record that they say still stands today, with 4 consecutive home runs by a teammate. Started off with a hit home run by Eddie Matthews, and then Hank Aaron, and then Joe Addick, and then Frank Thomas. In 1961, back-to-back home runs, as they say, that still stands today. Moving on here, as it was in New South Wales in 1984. I read this one to you, which is just incredible because it's not too long ago. It was in 1984 in New South Wales that Australia declared that homosexuality was not a crime. Back in 1984, that It was not a crime. It's incredible. And look how far that's come now with even the idea now of our country with same-sex marriage. New Zealand establishes a national nuclear-free zone with a Disarmament and Arms Control Act that happened on this day in 1987, where basically New Zealand is like,
It's the year I was born.
yeah, it's a good year. And then this was interesting because this is today. I just saw it on the calendar. Don't know what all goes into it, but this was back in 1992. On this day, the first World Ocean Day was celebrated, coinciding with the Earth Summit held in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, as today is June 8th, World Ocean Day.
Wow.
Interesting.
That's fun.
That's different. And then there was one birthday I wanted to mention. This was kind of cool. It was celebrating his birthday today, June 8th, is Tim Berners-Lee, as he was born June 8th, 1955. I've never heard of him. You might not have heard of him.
No.
Tim Berners-Lee is one of the founders of the World Wide Web.
Wow.
He started its infrastructure while he was at CERN, the European Particles Physics Laboratory, and created the first web client and server in 1990. The web's HTTP, or Hypertext Transfer Protocol, for those who are wondering what that meant, or HTML, Hypertext Markup Language, and URLs, Uniform Resource Locators, have spread from this. It says he had been a student of physics at Oxford, built a computer in his spare time. His initial use of the web was to create and access to the increasingly large amount of data that the CERN had held. And it was never intended for public release, although he worked for a time in England before returning to CERN and continuing the distribution of information on a global network. And in 1991, he created a web browser and the web's ability to communicate through news groups. Increasingly popular, the web had more and more servers available, and the need for public display of information was vital. With the only overly numerous queries that were made, and Marx Anderson built what became the most common type of browser, such as Internet Explorer, is what we know today. And then now we've got all of them. We got Chrome, we got Firefox, we got all kinds of them. And it was in 2003 that Mr. Tim Berners-Lee was awarded a knighthood, but it was his birthday today. Wow. The creator of the World Wide Web.
Can you imagine building a computer in your spare time?
No, I can't imagine even
as a
building one now.
Pursuit, huh?
Yeah,
to be that smart, wouldn't that be amazing?
It's absolutely incredible. But look where we're now with the World Wide Web, which, by the way, I know some old timers like to say that, you can visit the website at www. We know it's the World Wide Web. You don't have to use www anymore when expressing a website.
Especially now during all of the lockdowns and everything. Can you imagine a world without an internet during this time?
No.
How isolating. We feel isolated. Even as it stands, and to be, your phone is a computer. How amazing to carry that around in your pocket.
Right. And at the same time, too, could we say that at some percentage, maybe it wasn't a not so great thing going through something like this, as having that?
I definitely think there's up and downsides.
Right.
Innovation always comes with the pros and the cons, and the question is, does it do the upsides outweigh the downsides?
Absolutely, and that was just a real big one. Was what I've learned about the automobile and its conception. As believe it or not, there was people back in the day who were like, an engine-driving automobile? Absolutely not. The horse and buggy will do just fine.
Well, horses are dangerous, too.
Dangerous, and not to mention disgusting with all of the horse droppings that they had throughout some of the cities, and it smelt the way it did because of that. But it is what it is, right? As even automobiles coming to fruition, as we know the upside, but a lot of people saw them as dangerous. And by the way, for those who don't know, that's where the term jaywalker came from.
Oh, yeah?
Jay was a slanderous term, and to get people to basically stop crossing the street wherever and go to the crosswalks, they started giving tickets. They started to regulate people just jumping across the street. And to make it sound a little bit more profound, they said, we're going to insult them and call them a Jay. That's where the jaywalker came from.
Oh, interesting.
So when they were a jaywalker, and now we look at it and go, whatever. But that back then, that was a big thing. My son's a jaywalker. What are you doing to the family, son? Have you no respect for what your mother and father have been through? That's what it is. Crazy.
I can't imagine being without my car.
I know. As that brings us to the end of Monday's show, AM Ocala Live. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thanks to Lena Williams. Thank you to Sheriff Billy Woods. Thank you to Tish for getting everything going. To Joe and Dan. To Galen. Until tomorrow, everybody, stay tuned. More good show coming for you. Everybody loves Tuesdays. We'll see you tomorrow. Until tomorrow, goodbye.
USA Radio News with Chris Barnes.
It's 2 weeks today since the death of George Floyd, and on Capitol Hill, congressional Democrats are set to start the week by rolling out legislation aimed at addressing concerns raised by that